This is the CBC Evening News.
Good evening, I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, if your road tax was due before July 1st, you still have to pay it. Minister of Transport, Works and Maintenance, Dr. William Duguid, made this clear today as he tried to clarify some confusion among Barbadians who believe that if they waited until the 1st of July, they wouldn't have to pay road tax that was due before that date.
I made it very clear in Whitehill that if you did not pay your road tax, you'd be running afoul of the law. And obviously you had to pay your road tax. And I think subsequent to that, people came to the conclusion that if they did not pay their road tax at that time and they put down their car, that the road tax was not due. Clearly that was not the case. The tax remains due. My comments really were related to how they would be with respect to the law, in terms of if the police stop them, not with respect to whether the road tax is due or not. The road tax continues to be due.
Acting Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw headed the media briefing at government headquarters. She says the Barbados Revenue Authority has a system in place where all taxes can be paid in installments, and she revealed that government will be extending that service to people whose road tax is in arrears.
My understanding from the officers at licensing authorities that there will be an officer there who is now dealing with the issue of the road tax, but also will Revenue Authority, but will also facilitate the collection and entering into the arrangements that are necessary for persons to form agreements with the authority to be able to pay off the arrears. So we have answered the call in relation to those concerns, and I hope that the public would appreciate the mess that we found ourselves in. Nobody wants to pay taxes, that's the reality, but we find ourselves as a government as well recognizing too that we have a responsibility to keep this country going.
A directive has been given to the Customs Department that all goods in port shall attract 0% NSRL. This was the assertion of Acting Minister of Finance Ryan Strawn, who also spoke at that media briefing at government headquarters earlier today.
From today, all of those goods should be cleared through the port with the normal duties and taxes that would apply, with the exception of National Social Responsibility Levy. There needs to be an update to the system with respect to the Barbados Revenue Authority, given that they support the Customs Department. And so therefore, those will be made overnight because, as you can imagine, given the directive that was there before, the goods that would have been landed last week would have still reflected, obviously, the 10%, given that that was the principle that was being followed. And so therefore, given that that was inconsistent with what the law actually says, we're going to make those adjustments overnight.
Well, police are investigating an incident in which a vehicle struck an elderly man near a popular mall. Video of the accident went viral on social media. It has also prompted an appeal to road users from road safety advocate to be more responsible.
You may have seen this viral social media video. The dash camera showed a vehicle driving in the area of Sheraton Mall on Monday, July 2nd. As it approached one of the mall's entrances, this. A male pedestrian attempts to dart across the road and is struck, shattering the windshield. A day later, police identify the owner and driver as 36-year-old Anthony Babb of Kingsland Heights, Christchurch. The unlucky pedestrian, 63-year-old Victor Leacock of Lower Estate, St. George. He was transported by ambulance to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital and is nursing injuries to his head and forearm. The video sent shockwaves through various social media platforms, with scores of people expressing concern about the accident. It also prompted a swift response from road safety advocate Charmaine Rowland Bowen. While stressing that she isn't placing blame on the driver or the pedestrian, she appealed to all road users to be a bit more responsible.
We need to exhibit due care for our other road users. Pedestrians also have an important part to play in making themselves visible. Wear conspicuous clothing during the day and even at night. Look out for other persons. Be careful. Do not and never, and I repeat, never put your safety in the hands of 8 rifles.
Ms. Roland Bowen says 17 road fatalities are already on the books this year, along with many other potentially deadly accidents. She believes the numbers can be curbed if common sense prevails. Kareem Smith, CBC News.
Thanks, Kareem. Well, plans to fully develop Gun Hill and setting up a non-profit organization to help its constituents are among the things MP for St. George North, Glenn Clark, has in store over the next 5 years. He made the comments over the weekend while giving thanks for his victory at the polls in the May 24th election. Peter Thorne reports.
Veteran politician and MP for St. George North, Glenn Clark, has celebrated his latest victory at the polls, which was his 6th straight success since 1994, with a Thanksgiving event at the Gun Hill Signal Station. It saw members of his campaign team being recognized and thanked for the hard work they put into the recent general election and for supporting him over the past 3 decades. Mr. Clark says he's humbled by the support.
I believe that this year we have done so well. We have won not only all the boxes, but we have won the hearts of many other constituents who were swaying. And I have seen for the first time a number of DLP supporters who have supported us, so that we can say that this is a BLP territory at this time.
Mr. Clark says one of his goals is to see Gun Hill significantly developed.
I would want to see us develop Gun Hill in its entirety. There's so much can be done at Gun Hill. We have a number of extra land here that can be done for tourism development. It can be you can do resources in terms of recreation, and I have to be able to do a number of small things. I have seen for the first time a number of persons who don't have toilet facilities, a number of persons who have housing up to 2007 that have lost their homes. A number of people over the past 10 years have lost their homes. A number of persons have spent all their savings so their home become derelict. So we have to look at how we're going to treat to this here.
The St. George North MP says he also plans to set up a non-profit organization and to help his constituents because too many people have been falling behind recently.
Too many people are struggling. Too many people have struggled in the last 10 years. I myself have struggled, and I know that there are lots of people in my village who cannot find, and I spoke about this in the election, some people cannot cook once or twice, once a week. People don't have it, can't support their family well.
Political scientist Dr. George Braffett believes Mr. Clark's victory again at the polls shows democracy works in Barbados and that he's firmly rooted to his people.
If you consider that when he first tried in 1991, he didn't succeed, and then after 1994, he has been a success, culminating now in what has been his largest victory. Not only is it an equation to say that those opposing him did not work, but it's suggesting it is an actual endorsement of a man that has stood with the people, been with the people, and worked with the people for the people.
The veteran politician is assuring constituents of St. George North that he'll be sticking with them through thick and thin. Peter Thorne, CBC News.
Peter, thanks. A political scientist, Dr. George Brathwaite, is confident that the ruling Barbados Labour Party will be able to pull the island out of the economic doldrums.
I'm very confident that the Barbados Labour Party can pull us back. Indeed, what we are seeing exemplified within the first few weeks is leadership, decisiveness, and the willingness to take on what challenges there are. Now, what the people of Barbados need are opportunities. Opportunities at all levels of the society where people can showcase their skills, where we start seeing more merit-based positioning of people in terms of how people capital drives real development.
Well, there's more news coming up after this break. Stay tuned. At least one legislator is committed to the holistic development in the north and ensuring that historic Spikestown never becomes a forgotten treasure. Sherwood McCaskey has that story.
Minister of Labour and Social Partnership Relations, MP for St. Peter Colin Jordan, in addressing congregants Sunday evening in the Church of St. Peter for the final night of its Feast of Title celebration, spoke about his vision for Spikestown and surrounding areas.
Setting Spikestown apart as a centre for heritage and cuisine and culture and the arts is intended to recreate in Spikestown, in St. Peter and for the North, an understanding of where we have come from, the richness of our heritage, and it is intended to propel us to achieve more and to achieve greater things.
Noting that a vision is not authentic unless it is rooted in your own experiences, Minister Jordan emphasized the need for Spikestown's development to be people-centered, respecting their experiences and their talents.
And so when we discuss and when we seek to address how we develop culture in Spikestown and St. Peter, there first has to be an understanding of the way of life of the people of Spikestown and the people of St. Peter. In other words, I'm saying to my colleagues, and I'm saying to you, and I'm saying to Barbados, that we will not accept an imposition of somebody else's view about what our culture is or should be.
Sherwood McCoskey, CBC News.
Thanks, Sherwood. Culture Minister John King now has a greater knowledge of and appreciation for UNESCO World Heritage Site Historic Bridgetown and its garrison. During a 4-hour-long tour, Minister King, along with Permanent Secretary Deborah Payne and members of the ministry, were given valuable information about many important historical sites, including Needham's Point, St. Anne's Fort, Independence Square, the Screw Dock, Jubilee Gardens, and the Carnegie Building. Minister King was treated to mini lectures on the significance of the island's heritage from historian Pedro Welch and specialist on military history Dr. Jeff Ward, among others. Chairman of the Barbados World Heritage Committee, Steve Devenish, says it's important for the people that live within the site to understand what it is that must be preserved.
We also would recognize and reinforce that the historic nature of the country and the nature of the site is one where we are very certain that we are contributing to international recognition of cultural heritage of Barbados. It was also one for him to look at the building possibilities, to see what are some of the opportunities within the site to generate commercial activity, what are some of the opportunities within the site to link with other standing agencies. The reason for this tour ahead of him meeting the full World Heritage Committee was to get that overview, because I know his next intention is to meet with the full committee.
Mr. Devenish says he hopes they can sit down with the minister to find a way for the existing agencies to work in a more uniformed manner for the better of the site.
Whatever you do with historic Bridgetown garrison, housing and livelihoods and people's existence is very important. But culture is not the Ministry of Housing, so I'm sure he'll be looking at that in a very concrete way. We feel it's very, very important for people who live within the city and within this prestigious designation to understand what it is, to believe what it is, and to contribute to existence. And that is its existence. And that is one of the things that will be high on his agenda.
Well, First Citizens Pan Fusion in association with C&W Business is first up on the Crop Over 2018 Pan menu. During the launch this afternoon at Illawarra Court, NCF Chief Executive Cranston Brown says the Pan Perfect Weekend gets underway on July 14th on the pristine grounds of Illawarra Court. Mr. Brown says this year's event is dubbed Chrysalis.
Why Chrysalis, you may ask? We are constantly looking for that blend of fusion that will keep this niche audience captivated, so you can say that we are always in a transformational state. And two, this is the stage on which we often witness emerging talent set to rise from their cocoons to realize their dreams, performing alongside regional, local and international greats.
Country Manager for First Citizens Investment Services, Norland Gabriel, says from its inception, they recognize the inherent potential of pan fusion to develop into a sustainable activity to bring entertainment and enjoyment to a diverse audience.
We are so pleased to see how the event has grown over the years, catering to a wide cross-section of ages and stages. The quality of the musicians has remained consistently high over the years, with the fusion of local, regional, and international musicians delivering both traditional and contemporary performances. First Citizens is a strong supporter of the cultural industries in all the territories in which we operate. As one of the expressive languages of culture, music tells us a story. Music expresses our emotions. Music shares our ideas, and music brings us together.
And still to come on the evening news, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region.